right, looking now at new numbers showing our nation's debt climbing some $7 trillion just under President Obama. It now stands at more than $17 trillion. Now, that is more than the debt under all U.S. presidents, from George Washington through Bill Clinton combined. So how bad is it for you and me? Well, as of the last month, the debt was now more than $153,000 per U.S. household. That's up more than $61,000 in new debt per household since President Obama took office. And that increase alone is $10,000 more than the median household income per year, which is about $51,000. Let's break it down with Stu Varney, anchor of Varney and Company on the Fox Business Network. All right, Stu, this is not good news.
It's hard to wrap your arms around numbers like that. An increase in our debt collectively of $7 trillion in just 5 years. How do you get to grips with a number that big, so incomprehensible and flat out unpayable? You can't pay this stuff back. Now, the size of that number, a $7 trillion increase in 5 years, that's raising a lot of eyebrows. People are asking, all right, what have I got to show for that? We've borrowed $7 trillion in 5 years. What did we do with it? Did we build a national highway system like we did in the 1950s? The answer is no. What do we have to show for it? You're coming up empty on the response to that question. Second one, what about the interest that we've got to pay on $17.6 trillion? Well, I'll tell you, it amounts to $7 billion a week. That's what we are paying in interest alone, just interest. And that goes up to $17 billion a week if the current trend on expanding the debt continues as it is now. And a lot of that interest, $7 billion a week, actually goes overseas. It doesn't come back into the American economy. It goes to China, it goes to Japan, it goes to Britain, it goes to the Netherlands, and so on down the line. That's not good news. And last one, we've got no cushion. You've got $17.5 trillion worth of debt now. What happens if we get an emergency and you want to borrow some more? What happens if we get a real shock to the system, another recession, for example, where you've got to borrow another couple of $1 trillion? Will the market allow that? Will the market stand for it? Odds are we'll have a serious question about the validity of all that much debt. We're in a hole. Sean.
Yeah, and we have a visual that illustrates that to show just how our debt has continued to climb. You can see
straight up.
We've always had it. Yeah, I mean, we've always operated that way, but it's really markedly up a lot over the last 10, 15 years or so. I mean, exponentially in the last 5 years or so. And here's the thing, though. You and I know that if we ran our household the way that the federal government does, we never get away with it. We have to balance our checkbooks. We have to pay our debts. And, you know, changes have got to be made. But when you talk to people about changing some of the biggest drivers, entitlements and other things, they immediately freak out. And politicians are scared of that, and they stop talking about it. They stop efforts because they're afraid of losing their seats.
Sure. That's the third rail of politics, isn't it? Entitlement reform. As soon as you suggest entitlement reform, you'll be demagogued to death, so you don't do anything about it. And you're right, that is the driver of debt in the future. It's very, very difficult politically to do anything about it. So we keep going up and up and up and up, borrowing more and more and more money. It doesn't matter until it matters. And that's the crunch time when it arrives.
Yeah, for the kids and grandkids, it's gonna matter. All right, Stu, always good to see you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thanks.